Hi everyone! I'm Mandy. Welcome to Souped Up Recipes. Today we're making Cantonese Char Siu Bun, which has been on my to-do list for a long time because I don't want just to throw it together. I grew up eating it, so I want the perfect steamed barbecue pork bun, which should have a snowy white cotton-like wrapper, cracked open at the top, and a bright red juicy filling. In order to reach these standards, I have been testing and improving my char siu bun on and off for years. Finally, this is the perfect recipe. So this video is a little bit long because I spent some time to explain the whys behind the hows. I will guide you step by step, show you some failure examples, and talk about why they happened so you can avoid any possible mistakes. Trust me, I have been through a lot. I also have many tips and tricks to ensure you to create the restaurant quality result right in your kitchen. So let's get started. To make char siu bun, you will need lao mian, which is the leftover dough from the previous char siu bun wrapper. In restaurants, lao mian usually takes 7 days to accumulate. Then you can replenish and use it forever. But I think that is too time-consuming for home cooking, especially if you are making char siu bun once. So I simplified the process down to 3 steps and 2 days. Don't worry, it still provides plenty of flavors and a fluffy texture. Step 1. Combine half teaspoon of yeast, 2 tablespoons of water, and 50 grams of cake flour. I'm using active dry yeast, but instant yeast will also work. Mix with a spatula until a rough dough forms. Cover the dough and let it sit at room temperature for 12 to 16 hours. The dough becomes porous and sticky. Now, step 2. Add another 50 grams of cake flour and 30 grams of water. Mix with a spatula until a rough dough forms. Cover the dough and let it sit at room temperature for another 12 to 16 hours. Step 3. We are doubling the flour and the water amount, using 100 grams of cake flour and 60 grams of water. Continue to mix until everything comes together. Lao mian is a similar idea to sourdough starter, but as you may notice that the difference is that we didn't throw away any of the matured starter. We just keep adding more water and flour every 12 to 16 hours until we have enough leavening agent for this recipe. It's time-consuming, but not difficult. Alright, we're gonna let this sit at room temperature for another 12 to 16 hours, and I will show you how it looks when it's ready. By the way, about the cake flour, I know some will ask, can I use all-purpose flour instead? Let me answer this question by showing you a comparison. These 2 batches are made with the same recipe, one using cake flour and the other one using all-purpose flour. Surprisingly, they didn't look that much different. Both of them cracked at the top, but the all-purpose flour version came out a little bit rough and crumbly. So my answer is yes, you can use all-purpose flour, but it is not going to be the perfect char siu bao in my opinion. Now we're going to make the filling because it has to be chilled in the fridge overnight. As the name suggested, you will need some diced char siu, which is the most popular roasted meat in Cantonese cuisine. If you're not living in Hong Kong and you want to make it authentic, you will have to either buy it from Chinatown or roast it yourself. I do have a recipe. You can click here to learn how to make your own. If you don't want to spend time making it, the closest replacement will be some sweet, savory barbecue meat. Set it aside, and we're going to make the char siu gravy. In a mixing bowl, add 2.5 tablespoons of sugar, 1.5 tablespoons of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce, half tablespoon of hoisin sauce, 160 grams of water, and 1 teaspoon of red yeast powder. Mix thoroughly. The red yeast powder provides a nice color, but it doesn't affect the taste. So it is optional. You can skip it or replace it with red food coloring. Alright, let's set the sauce aside and move on to the stove. Turn the heat to medium and drizzle in 1.5 tablespoons of vegetable oil. Here are 3 scallions, which I cut them into stalks, 2 cloves of garlic, finely minced, 5 slices of ginger, and 1/4 of a purple onion, which I sliced thinly. Add them to the saucepan and stir over medium heat for a few minutes or until the garlic is slightly golden on the edge. Pour in the sauce and put on the lid. Let it simmer at low heat for 5 minutes to mingle everything. Once the aromatics have transferred their flavors to the liquid, you can skim them out. Be sure to squeeze the liquid out so you don't waste anything. Mix 2.5 tablespoons of cornstarch with 2.5 tablespoons of water. Keep the heat at low and add the cornstarch water to thicken the sauce. The consistency should be thick and sticky. I once made a batch that the char siu sauce was too thin and the filling ran out and made a mess. Turn off the heat, add the diced char siu and mix well. Transfer the filling into a container and set it in the fridge overnight to firm up a little bit. The next day, take the filling out of the fridge. Portion it into 12 even pieces, about 30 grams each. Roll each one into a ball. Put it back in the fridge for now because we're going to make the wrapper. Before we move on, I just want to announce that my cookbook is finally ready for sale. You can click the link in the description and purchase this great Chinese cookbook. I carefully selected 168 recipes featuring popular takeout dishes, easy family meals, various regional specialties, and classic traditional delicacy. Each recipe comes with a demo video, step-by-step photos, clear techniques, and secret tips. Whether you are a beginner or a seasoned chef, you'll be able to cook better than takeout and savor the local meals like the native Chinese. Alright, let's get back to the cooking. This is the lao mian that we made before. It has been fermented for 2 days. The volume doubled, and you should be able to smell its natural yeast aroma. So good. Transfer everything into a big mixing bowl. Add 130 grams of sugar, 20 grams of room temperature butter, and 8 drops of alkaline water, or what we call jian shui, which should be available in almost any Asian market. If you don't have access, here is a quick method of making your own jian shui using baking soda. You can pause and read. Use a rubber spatula to mix for 5 minutes or until everything is well combined. You can use a stand mixer if you want, but it is pretty easy, so I don't mind mixing it by hand. The purpose of adding jian shui is to neutralize the acid produced during the fermenting process. Otherwise, the acid will react with the baker's ammonia and decrease its leavening agent. That's why the amount that I gave is so precise. On the other hand, if you add too much jian shui, the buns will turn yellow and have an alkaline taste. Alright, I have been mixing this for about 5 minutes. All the sugar is dissolved. The butter is fused into the dough, making it smooth, elastic, and super stretchy. This is the time to add the baker's ammonia, aka ammonium carbonate. As a powerful leavening agent, it explosively degrades into gaseous ammonia and carbon dioxide, which helps the buns to rise faster and crack open at the top. It is a must-have ingredient, and there are no replacements for it. If you don't know where to buy it, I will link it in the description. You can check it out if you want. Stir for a few more minutes to dissolve it. For those who have never used this ingredient before, I have to warn you that it smells awful. So please hold your breath while working with it. However, it doesn't leave anything behind once degraded, so don't worry about the final taste and smell. Once the baker's ammonia is well mixed, we are going to add more cake flour and 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Use a sieve to get rid of the lumps. Mix with a spatula for a couple of minutes or until all the flour joined together. The amount of cake flour that I gave is a range because different brands of flour have different absorbing rates. These are the brands that I have used, and the amount of flour needed are also different. If this is the first time you are making this recipe, you should start with 150 grams, then gradually add more flour until you get the correct consistency. We will knead it by hand for about 5 minutes. It should be nice and smooth and non-stick if you quickly tap it, but if you let your hand touch the dough for a little longer, it becomes sticky. That is the highest moisture level this dough can handle. More moisture means softer and fluffier buns. You just keep adjusting until you get it right. Alright, sprinkle some flour to prevent sticking. Roll the dough into a long, even log. Divide it into 12 even pieces, about 50 grams each. You can use a scale, but I'm going with my eyes. Cover them with an upside-down bowl so they don't dry out. Take the filling from the fridge and set it aside. Grab 1 piece of the dough. Flatten it with your hand. Then roll it into a thin patty. Pick it up and roll the edge back and forth. The size should be about 9 centimeters in diameter. Put a filling in the middle. Use your left hand to hold the bun. Use your right hand to pinch the edge. Fold about 1/4 of an inch to create the first pleat. With the help from your left hand, you should be able to fold more pleats. Just keep doing that all the way around. When you get to the end, twist and pinch to close the bun. There you go. Put it in the steamer and place parchment paper under to prevent sticking. Continue to wrap the rest of the buns. Once all the buns are wrapped, we will steam them immediately without any further proofing. Unlike other steamed buns, which usually start with cold water and are steamed over medium heat, char siu buns require you to pre-boil the water in the steamer, forcing the buns to rise quickly so the top cracks. Place the steamer on and steam over the highest heat possible for 18 minutes. If you use low heat, the baker's ammonia will decompose incompletely, leaving a bad smell. Alright, they're done. This is the most exciting moment. Look at that. Oh, they're so perfect. Every one of the buns are cracked open, oozing the meaty filling. Those cracks are the icon of char siu bun. We call it 开口笑, which means char siu bun smile. These little treats are best to serve hot, straight from the steamer. This is so good. Although I have made char siu bun countless times, I'm still amazed by its texture every time I bite into it. It's so moist, tender, and delicate. It's like biting into a piece of cloud. The filling is savory, slightly sweet, and boosting with the roasted barbecue pork flavor. This is the best char siu bun, better than any other restaurants that I have ever had. And that means a lot because I grew up eating it. Char siu buns are great for making ahead of time. You can freeze them for up to 3 months. Whenever you need an on-the-go breakfast, you can re-steam them without defrosting. I hope you give this a try soon, As always, the printable recipe link is in the description. Go check it out. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more authentic and delicious Chinese food. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!